Alright, so welcome back to another video on this channel. Today we have another segment of a new series that I've made on this channel in recent times. 3 signings that will improve a team overall in the Premier League and help them towards achieving a goal in the Premier League or in the Champions League. And today's episode we have 3 signings that will make Liverpool Premier League title contenders like they have been in recent years. Obviously they're suffering a little bit of a lapse in form this season and they are just, fighting for the top 4 this season. But I think with these 3 players and the addition of course, off-form players this season coming back into form next season, I think Liverpool could be in the title race in the Premier League next season. So I'm going to put forward 3 players I think that will massively improve them and help them on their way to that. And let's just get straight into it. But before we start, of course, I already did one of these for Chelsea. If you want to go and check that out on the channel after this one, I will leave a link at the end of this video to that. But in that one, and the same in this one as well, we have a lineup graphic for how I think Liverpool's squad will look like on paper before the new signings come in, and taking into account potential outgoings and all the players that already are in the squad as well that will be around these 3 new signings that I have put forward. So as you can see by the graphic as well, the 3 signings that I've put forward and the 3 positions I think Liverpool need to strengthen if they are to fight for the title race next season are, first of all, the 2 centre midfield positions, and second of all, a centre back or a replacement for Virgil van Dijk in the long term, because of course Van Dijk, he's not really the same player that he used to be. He's still obviously very, very good, but being 31 years of age, you're not going to have him forever, so I do think that they need a potential replacement for him. And yet, like I said, the 2 centre midfield positions, because I think the midfield has been the main issue for Liverpool this season in terms of, why they have been so poor this season, added to, of course, like I said, a few players like your Robertsons, your Alexander-Arnolds, etc. going out of form this season for a bit. But yeah, I'm going to be putting forward 1 player for that centre-back position, that left centre-back position for Van Dijk's replacement long-term, and then, of course, 1 player for each of these centre midfield positions as well. So yeah, as I said, let's just get straight into it now. And first and foremost, we will start off with the left centre-back player that I have put forward as a long-term replacement for Virgil van Dijk. But of course, Van Dijk, like I said, probably has 2 or 3 minimum more years in him. So this player I've put forward will mainly just be nurtured by Van Dijk in the next few years, and will add cover for Van Dijk should he get injured for any matches. And this was an interesting one because, to be honest, I think that Benoit Badiashile of Chelsea, who we've just signed of course in January, I think would have been an absolutely ideal replacement for Van Dijk, given his ability in terms of his long passing and just how composed he is at centre back. But obviously he's not available to pick in this video, so I've gone for one that I think could be an interesting option, especially on the cheap as well. I've gone for Arthur Théâté. He currently plays in Ligue 1 for Stade de Rennes, and I think he would be quite a decent replacement for Van Dijk on paper, given the fact that his stats are quite similar and his strengths are quite similar to what Van Dijk offers at centre back for Liverpool. If you're picking a replacement for Van Dijk, and don't get me wrong, replacing Van Dijk for Liverpool full stop is going to be some task, and I don't think they'll be ever able to get a replacement who was as good as Van Dijk was in his prime. But I think Théâté could be one that does make up the ground for him. As you can see there, I think that one thing that really does have to stand out for this replacement is his long passing ability. Arthur Théâté does have a pass completion ratio for long passes of 74.5%, which does put him in the 92nd percentile, which is really, really high, of course. Then if you look at his possession stats as well, because of course Van Dijk is obviously very comfortable in possession, 54.79 carries per 90 puts him in the 91st percentile. And here are some more interesting ones as well, back to the passing element of things. 5.56 passes into the final third per 90 in the 94th percentile for that, and progressive passes 5.77 per 90, which puts him in the 96th percentile. The only thing you can say about Théâté is the fact that his aerial duels ability, like you can see here, 58.1% puts him in only the 34th percentile, which is pretty low for a centre back. And Van Dijk's is obviously way higher, or Van Dijk was in his prime, was way higher, but I just do think overall that Arthur Théâté could be one that is a bit of a gem for Liverpool to sign, and his market value on transfermarket.com is only 12 million euros, which obviously is an absolute steal for this level. And obviously Van Dijk wasn't the finished article by any stretch of imagination when Liverpool signed him, and you see Liverpool a lot under Jurgen Klopp where they sign these gems for cheap and they turn them into world beaters, and who's to say that Théâté couldn't be another one of those. And that's why I think that his player profile I think is very much suited to the way Liverpool want to play, with Van Dijk in that left centre back role next to Konate, who I think will be there long term next to this centre back. But yeah, I just think Arthur Théâté is a really interesting one. Again, he's 22 years of age, so still has a lot of room to improve as well in that position. And with the fact that Virgil van Dijk, like I said, is 31 years of age and is getting on, and in my opinion anyway, is not what he used to be a few years ago when he was the best centre back in the world by an absolute country mile. I think Théâté could be an interesting one to replace him, and I think he's got all the attributes that are available there to replace someone like Virgil van Dijk in the long term if he can click in the Premier League. And that's why he's going to be the first one that I've put forward in this video for Liverpool to sign in the summer. And now we move on to the first central midfield position. Now this one is going to be an interesting one because, like I said, I think Liverpool's main issues this season have been because of the lack of presence in midfield, lack of energy in midfield. Jordan Henderson's getting no younger, Fabinho's getting no younger, Thiago's getting no younger. I think Harvey Elliott isn't really suited to that heavy metal way of playing under Jurgen Klopp yet in centre midfield. Obviously James Milner as well isn't getting any younger. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is constantly injured. Naby Keita Keita just hasn't really worked for him overall. So I've gone for kind of another gem here that could cost them pennies, like Arthur Théâtre, of course, and this one is Enzo Lefebvre, who currently plays for Lorient in France, 23 years of age, and I just think in terms of his stats, he's got absolutely everything you would want to play in this Liverpool midfield, because the main criteria to be in this Liverpool midfield is to have a lot of energy, and I think Enzo Lefebvre offers you that in absolute abundance, to be honest. And to be fair, I'm actually quite surprised that a lot of Premier League clubs and a lot of clubs in general around Europe haven't, snuffed this guy out yet, because I do think he's there to be picked out in Europe, especially given the fact his transfer market value as well is only 20 million euros, which is an absolute steal in my opinion. And I mean, if we just go through his stats, first of all, we'll go through his passing stats. I mean, 2.13 key passes per 90 in the 94th percentile. He's also very useful when it comes to set pieces as well, so it could give an extra option over free kicks for Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. If you see there, 0.35 crosses into the penalty area per 90, leaving him in the 90th percentile. Then if you look at his goal and shot creating stats, I mean, 4.08 shot creating actions per 90 in the 94th percentile is just absolutely insane, to be honest. Then you look at his possession stats and you have some unbelievable ones there as well. 53.21 carries per 90 in the 92nd percentile for that one. 1.75 successful take-ons per 90 in the 97th percentile for that one. And then you look at his defensive stats as well, because of course in midfield for Liverpool you do need to be, defensively sound as well, to cover for Andy Robertson at left back or Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, who do like to go forward and add that extra bit of creativity for Liverpool going forward. And my word, Enzo Lefebvre, excels in that area as well. 2.07 tackles 1 per 90 in the 96th percentile. He challenges 3.43 dribblers per 90 as well, leaving him in the 96th percentile for that one. He's in the 90th percentile for tackles and interceptions, averaging 4.41 per 90 in that one. So I just think Enzo Lefebvre is just so complete and could be an absolute gem for Liverpool in this system, and just fits the way they want to play so perfectly in terms of the fact that not only is he good in the ball, good in possession, he creates chances, he's very good defensively, he gets around the pitch absolutely brilliantly, obviously has bundles of energy like I said, and is really young, is going to cost you no more than probably £30 million to be fair. So yeah, I just think it makes sense, especially given the fact that Liverpool won't really be, necessarily operating on the largest budget. Will FSG be able to splash out money on Jude Bellingham? I'm not so sure, especially given the fact that Jude Bellingham literally has the pick of Europe in terms of what club he chooses next, and there is links with Real Madrid recently and talks held with his agent or whatever. And if you look at similar players to Enzo Lefebvre as well, now that I've just realised that Jude Bellingham is in second, so he does offer a little bit, similar output to Jude Bellingham. So I think Enzo Lefebvre would really be, a smart alternative really to Jude Bellingham if Liverpool can't, or don't have the money to be splashing out on someone like Jude Bellingham, or if he just chooses to go to Real Madrid or Man City or whatever. I think Lefebvre would be a really, really good alternative for Liverpool. And now on to the third and final player, and of course another midfielder playing next to Lefebvre in that midfield position. And this one is one that might cost you a little bit of bob, but to be fair, we've saved a lot of money in the first two signings. So what I'm saying is, for this one, we're willing to splash the cash, and I think this guy would just be absolutely perfect in sorting Liverpool's midfield options. Moises Caicedo, I think, would be an absolutely brilliant signing for Liverpool. I think he's got absolutely every attribute you would want to be in this Liverpool midfield, in terms of the fact that not only is he a shuttler by nature, he gets around the pitch, he covers a lot of ground, he's energetic, tenacious. I mean, first of all, if you look at his defensive stats, 1.44 tackles 1 per 90, which puts him in the top 74 percentile, which isn't bad by any stretch of imagination. He tackles 58.8% of his dribblers, which is a really high ratio, puts him in the top 86 percentile for that one. He's in the top 84 percentile for interceptions, averaging 1.51 interceptions per 90, so obviously is, very comfortable winning the ball back for Brighton, and has been, shown that a lot this season. He wins 64.7% of his aerial duels as well, putting him in the top 93 percentile, which obviously is massively positive. And then you go on to his possession stats, which are the main ones, because in this Liverpool midfield you can't just be, all energy and no ability whatsoever. You have to be able to pass the ball as well, which Moises Caicedo is certainly able to do, with a pass completion ratio of 87.5%, putting him in the top 85 percentile. And this one's really impressive as well. I mean, long passing complete ratio of 81.7%, which is just an absolute joke, puts him in, of course, the first 97 percentile for that stat. So yeah, look, I think Moises Caicedo would probably cost you a fair bob, especially with the fact he's recently just signed a new contract at Brighton, so you'd probably be looking at 70-80 million upwards, to be fair. But I do think he's completely worth it for Liverpool, and obviously there's going to be a lot of clubs like your Chelseas, your Arsenals, maybe even Man United to a certain extent, that will be looking at this guy in the summer, especially with him being 21 years of age as well. I really think this guy has it all to be an absolutely world-class holding midfielder, but not only a 6, I do think he could do a massive job in the number 8 position as well, given how secure he is in possession and how comfortable he is on the ball. So that's one thing as well I think that would be really a benefit for Liverpool, is the fact he can play as a 6 if Fabinho's unavailable or just out of form, and he can play as an 8 as well to play alongside Fabinho. So yeah, we head back to the graphic and we just look at Liverpool's team here, and to be honest, yeah, we've picked our 3 signings here, as you can tell: Arthur Théâtre, Moises Caicedo and Enzo Lefebvre. I think overall would probably cost in the region of maybe 120-130 million euros overall, but I think it would be more than worth it, to be fair, because I think these are three players that would really suit Jurgen Klopp's style of play this season, and I think would definitely add a lot of youth and a lot of quality as well to this Liverpool team that could, you know, make them potential title contenders again next season. And yeah, if we just go through the squad as well, just in terms of the depth, I mean, Alisson, obviously one of the best goalkeepers in the world, in my opinion, the best in the league for sure. Adrian, backup keeper, because I think Kelleher will probably leave. Then we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously no issues with him whatsoever, and the fact that we do have Caicedo will give Trent more license to, you know, be free and, you know, play that long ball over to Nunez or Gakpo or Salah down that right hand side. Calvin Ramsey is the backup, of course, even though we haven't really seen too much of him in a Liverpool shirt yet. Andy Robertson down that left hand side with Enzo Lefebvre, giving Andy Robertson more of license to, you know, go forward with the fact that Enzo Lefebvre is so energetic and able to win the ball back and cover for Robertson with his energy. And Tsimikas, a sturdy backup for Andy Robertson. Then we go at centre back, the left centre back position, Arthur Tiate and Virgil van Dijk, of course. I've just put Tiate as a starter in this purely for the video, but obviously I think Van Dijk is going to probably be a starter for the next 2 or 3 years, regardless who Liverpool sign in that position. But I think Tiate could learn from Van Dijk, like I said, and I think he would be a very good option long term for Liverpool to replace Van Dijk, or at least try to. Right centre back, Ibrahima Konate, I think is going to be the main one. I think he's absolutely brilliant, especially given the pace he has to, you know, cope with that high line that Liverpool do like to play, and obviously is a very good defender. So I think Konate is a good one there. Matip obviously competing for that position with him, a very sturdy option. In the sixth position you have Fabinho, but like I said, you could have Caicedo in there, or even Bajcetic, as it says there in the graphic. He is the backup behind Fabinho there. Jordan Henderson as well behind Caicedo. Thiago behind Lefebvre, who I think, you know, still has a role to play in this team. Thiago with his ability to spray the ball around and his energy as well, of course. Mo Salah in right wing, no issues there whatsoever. Has, you know, rejuvenated a little bit in form over the last few weeks. Harvey Elliott I just have in there just to make up the numbers, because I think Salah, regardless of his form, is going to play 99% of the games in that right wing position regardless. Then on the left you have Darwin Núñez, who has been playing in that left wing with Gakpo up front, for example, and I think that, you know, really will work for Liverpool. I think Gakpo could be a very good replacement for Roberto Firmino, who is leaving the club. I think Gakpo has all the attributes to really be a good replacement for Firmino, and obviously is on good form right now after a shaky start to his life at Liverpool. And Núñez cutting in off that left hand side with Luis Diaz competing with him. I think a lot of fans in general are forgetting about Luis Diaz and how good he is, and obviously he'll be a breath of fresh air to this Liverpool team once he comes back. And then Jota to complete the front six depth, and yeah, Jota a very sturdy option off the bench, very reliable in scoring goals, and yeah, will pop off the bench for a good few goals next season in a potential title charge that Liverpool may find themselves in. So yeah, overall I think this would be a really exciting team to see next season for Liverpool. And yeah, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, would be massively appreciated as per usual. And also if you could subscribe to the channel as well, that would also be massively appreciated, because we are looking to hit 2,000 subscribers on this channel as soon as we possibly can, and every single one of you that hits that subscribe button will be helping me get there as soon as possible. And yeah, I'll chat to you later.